Watcher?
Are you volunteering?
I can't be volunteering.
That's true. Anyone want to?
Can I do that and push that? That means watching at the same time.
All right, thank you so much for coming. So how we normally start these things out, if you just want to take a moment of silence to recognize everyone else around the world who are standing for the same thing that we're standing for. So keep them in your mind and your heart, and we'll just take a moment of silence. Louder.
Moment of silence.
Move in!
Can you guys move in?
Would you all feel comfortable sitting over here? Would that be all right? Otherwise, we'll have the people's mic and it'll slow things down quite a bit. All right.
Here.
Come on over.
Get over.
Right, start on that moment of silence. All right. Okay. If we need to do people's mic, we'll just try this out for a little bit, and if we need to do people's mic, we'll change. So let's just do a moment of silence collectively together, being in solidarity with everyone else around the world. All right, thank you so much. What a wonderful moment of silence. So this is direct democracy as best as we know it. The format that we use is highly involving hand signals. So we're going to go through the hand signals now, which will indicate your level of participation, how you feel about what's going on. So this hand signal means I agree. I like this. I want a big slice of that. This means I have mixed feelings. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I don't even care. This means I don't like this. I disagree. I don't want this to happen. This is point of process, which means that we're trying to follow a certain process with this General Assembly. So if somebody is talking about something totally unrelated, make this sign. We will call on you to help us identify that a point of process is in question. This means a block. This means I have serious ethical or safety concerns about what is being presented right now. And I will leave the movement if it is passed. So it's a very serious sign. So we need to be aware of that. This means point of information. It means I have a point of fact that is very relevant to what is just being proposed. Okay. Are there any more hands? No, that's okay. So this indicates that we've heard you. We got your point. Please wrap it up. And that's a polite way of saying, okay, it's time to move on. And this means talk louder. We can't hear you. So use this whenever you'd like. So now, the first order of business is we're going to do proposals. Now, as a facilitation group, we ask for everyone who has a proposal to come 15 minutes before the GA. So tonight we have one proposal, one item on the agenda, and we'll have that person begin his proposal. Here he is.
All right, hurry up. Come on now.
My name is Matthew. A little over a week ago, we started a working group for a list of demands. That list has grown to 32 items for national issues and just a handful of local ones. The idea with the list of demands is that we will try and consent on a few of them at the very least to start, and once we have some that the whole group has consented upon, we will adopt them as our own and maybe share them with other occupations and work with it from there. But we need a starting point for a list of what we want and how to fix it. So there was an idea that we could break out into a working group of a few people in each group and talk about these as they are. And if you have any serious issues, just mark them and bring them to on the floor as a group, as opposed to like each one of us talking about each item. That way it moves a little faster. Can you clarify that more?
Yeah, thank you. So he has a whole list of demands, and he has the sheet. And so what we're going to do, we're going to break out into groups and to talk about this list of demands. What do you agree about these demands? What do you disagree? Do you like the notion of demands? Do you not like the notion of demands? So we'll have 10, let's break up into groups of 10 or 15, and we'll pass out this list. And afterwards, we'll come together and we'll talk about everything. Have a discussion.
Yeah. I need some clarification about demands. Who are the demands to? What are they about? What are they for? And the reason I'm asking this is I thought we had moved away from demands of to whom. Can you explain that?
So everyone understands, Occupy New York had a declaration, and it basically is a big list of grievances. And the media has been really sort of bad-mouthing the whole movement because we don't have any solutions. Maybe we can call them solutions as opposed to demands, but we demand that the solutions be made. And so that's why I brought this up as a proposed list of demands, but really they're solutions. And so a lot of them are national solutions that are going to have a global effect. There's a couple of local ones on the bottom, and none of these got excluded from the list. So if there's some that are out there and you're going to block it, just block it. It'll get tabled or it'll have to get revised. That's totally fine. I expect maybe we walk away with 10 of these today, and that's awesome. So that's all. Does that answer your question, sir?
It answers my question, but again, I'm not sure if we are at a point of being able to lay on this group at this time that kind of heaviness. What I'd like, I want to know if the working group, I know you've come up with this, but there are some questions about, this is Occupy Asheville, and I know we're national, but I just have some real issues with it.
So this is what I just want to propose for right now, is let's actually, those concerns are very important. Please take those concerns to the small groups.
Point of
Yeah.
Point of information.
Question.
We'll get the answer.
Yeah.
She's on stack.
Just a point of information, a question I feel like was asked and not necessarily directly answered. All of the demands will require action on the part of our government. So if the question is, who are the demands to? They are to our government.
So,
At all levels.
what you said was, they're demands of our government. I didn't directly respond to that. So all of these demands have to do with our government, so they're demands to our government.
Has the group reached the consensus that they want to make any demands? Has there been a proposal that we make the demands, and it has been a consensus reached on it?
Yes, thank you for that. There is a demands working group, and that exact issue is something that would be great to talk about in your small group. People have a lot of different feelings about demands, and so I'm just.
I don't think
Sorry, you have more to say?
I propose that we reach a consensus if we want to make demands or not.
I think that should be the first.
Make demands this time. Okay, all right. Sounds like to me that the idea of just getting into small groups is a way of
consolidating the ideas so that then it can be unified into it can be consolidated down to a smaller group of people so that we can communicate. That's all it sounds like. So that sounds like a good idea.
And the need for demands is a topic.
I wouldn't oppose. I wouldn't oppose.
In response to the question, to the thing about whether we want to make demands or not, or whether it's too heavy for this group at this time, I think that one reason for the demand is that when this movement started, one of the questions that the media, people in power were asking is, what do you want? Why are you there? And I think the demand is really an answer to that question.
Yeah, hang on, I'm just going to stop back 1 second. These points are exactly what I'm hoping that we can talk about in small groups. Because a lot of people have a lot of things to say about it. It's a hot topic. That's why I'd like us all to break out, and then we can talk about it, then come back together. All right, let's do it. So just small groups, please.
We'll be the rock people. We're on the rock. We're on the rock.
Just yell out 20 minutes.
And it's just me, We'll be meeting for 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
I'll join you guys. Do you mind if I live stream our discussion and stuff? Is that okay? Yes.
Okay. Personally, I'd be a little bit concerned about that because I think that might open the door to corruption in the voting process. Usually, as far as I know, the person who wins the electoral college vote is almost always the same person with the popular vote, except for in 15 minutes. What group's next?
I am of the camp that I think.
kind of like that on that one.
Yeah, the whole thing right now, to me, I think it's too soon because I think that the Constitution took years to write, and I think we should take some time with this. I think that's why Occupy Wall Street is so effective, because there aren't any demands yet, and everybody is still trying to figure it out. Why don't they have demands? But we do. We have demands, but by not enacting them, I think that gives us the upper hand. That's my opinion of it. I may vote to block. There's some good points. Yeah, there's some great points on there.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with a lot of them. Yeah, that's what the thing is. And
ensure full voting access for every individual of appropriate age. Wouldn't that already apply to everybody except for convicts?
Pretty much.
I don't really know. I get some right there on that one. The Patriot Act shall be abolished due to its unconstitutional nature. I agree with that. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
It should have been abolished years ago.
We are winning without them. Let them figure out why we're pissed off.
Ooh.
Hey, Bradley Manning shall be immediately released.
I'm going to go to some of the other
The word
groups.
in the middle of on.
I've been reading from some thinkers about all of this online that they said that we don't need to figure out the laws or the policies that need to be changed. With that, the lawmakers, we have to tell them what our values are. And I'm concerned about this perhaps being premature because I think we have a lot of ideas that if we, like, at least a little working environment, there's a lot of ideas for laying groundwork, for having teachers, for learning about alternative economics, banking system, cooperatives, etc. And if we can keep people interested and grow more people by having like public education stuff, then I think perhaps down the line there'll be some kind of statement from the group that approaches the power structure. It's true that demands are important because power concedes nothing without demand, but yet how we word our demands may be really key.
Okay, I'm going to go. He's next. I'm going to go, and then you.
All I want to say is to reiterate this idea. If we play by the system that's already been happening, it's going to be the same thing, right? So that's it right there, you know?
That would be my point, is that we're going to pigeonhole ourselves into a system that we're trying to recreate, and we're not going to give ourselves the room or the ground to recreate it. We start playing on their terms, and we need to give ourselves time, and I think the pressure is unfair to us because we're just babies, and babies require a lot of patience, nurturing, and care. We can't force them to grow up, and we're going by on our own rules, and we should stand for that.
If we were to come up with demands, we would have to present those demands to the government. How many people believe that Congress has bought everybody, right? How many people believe that Obama sold us out with the health care bill? He sold us out with the financial bailout. How many people believe that when Obama has to raise $1 billion, that he's going to raise it from people like you and me? He's going to raise it from the 1%. Who does he work for? The 1%. What's worse, a wolf or a wolf in sheep's clothing? The Supreme Court, Citizens United, proves that they do not work for us. They work for the 1%. They are turned over. The entire federal government is owned and bought by the 1%. Giving them demands is giving the enemy a weapon.
Does anybody want to talk about how much they love demands or anything in this group? Is there anyone that's interested in any counterpoints or anything, sir?
This is not in favor of demands as these are written. I think there's a difference between demands of this sort, which are petitions to governments could care less about, and organizing ideas for the group itself. I think it can help to have areas of focus that are agreed on.
And we are not even, we have been having issues with that amongst ourselves. So why skip over what we're dealing with? You know, Occupy Asheville, the groups, the affinity groups, and all like that. And jump over into demand. I would also like to say, I was in the civil rights movement. I met King and all of the civil rights leaders. It took the government 20 years to figure out the nonviolent movement. When they figured it out, they crushed it. Okay? And that's my thing, is that we don't have to always let the right hand know what the left hand is doing, especially when one of the hands are not for us. And that's what I'm saying.
I personally, the word demand, I don't even think this fits here. I think suggestion fits more than demand, because I really like what he said. You know, why forecast what we want now? Grow. How do we unite? How do we multiply? It's pretty important. And I think we ought to work on multiplication and how we can come together and unite. Unite is a prayer. United is a prayer answer.
I go here, and then you, and then you.
As far as demands, I mean, we're supposed to want
Whether the demands, whether we're saying these things or not, I mean, the things on the paper are pretty much agreeable, right? I mean, we're pretty much for the things that we're talking about on the piece of paper. This is from New York, right? So, I mean...
This is from Asheville.
Asheville?
Yeah.
So, if, I mean, all this is national.
No demands have come out.
It affects us totally nationally. It affects us internationally. It affects us in a worldwide kind of context. If we're not, like, we're for it, you're right. I mean, why would we have to tell anybody what we really want until we get kind of put in the door and recognized to a spot where we're able to implement some of the demands? Because who's going to listen to a bunch of people that are just standing around talking about it when we just say, I want this? Most of the time in the 60s, I saw a guy on TV talking, a Republican, talking about squashing the movement, because in the 60s stuff like this made policy, and he basically, we need to squash this now. And that's un-American. You know, they can't say stuff like that, but as long as they're in power, so to speak, and this is not a democracy anymore. You know, we're not a democracy. It means that people take power in a democracy. That's more like an aristocracy or something. And an oligarchy, that's a good one. If we understand that we don't have any power until we're actually, you know, power is given. And over thousands of centuries, we gave power to kings and governments and people that are parts of our whole. Basically, they have our power, but it is only given. I mean, even the money itself, we don't even...
Sure, you're talking about demands.
Well, the demands are basically us saying we need the power to save them. And in order to be given the power to save them, somebody has to recognize that we indeed make sense. So, I don't know, that's all I have to say.
Right.
One of my demands is to hold accountable the corporations. 1%, first of all, is a corrupt system that we live in. The 1% is creating that. That's the problem. The solution is the 99%. It's us. But it's through education of the shadow government that is not held liable for anything. They can't be investigated, you know, and, you know, they don't have to pay taxes. The demand is that I want them taken to court. The Supreme Court should investigate this for treason against the American people.
Okay, you go, and then I'm going to have
The only thing I wanted to say was kind of a add-on to the point of the guy that was behind you, and that is that it's one thing to make a demand, but why do that at all when you just can do it, which is what the group is doing locally, just doing it.
We need to find lawyers to take people to court. We need
you know what I'm
saying?
Or teach people how to move their bank account to
Let's see what some of these other groups are talking about. Excuse me. Alright, that group was fully said it's too early to make demands.
But really, if you're talking about issues of justice and equality under the law, in the broad sense, it's getting included. A lot of things that you don't have to specify. Right. And I think that if we can even reclaim our constitutional rights, we're ahead of the game.
Yes.
I find it a little bit too many words.
It's a shotgun effect to start out with. They just...
Yeah. I
They
mean, I
did a
think
shotgun.
5 or 10 would be good. You know, yeah, this is 32. I think that we could definitely eliminate a lot of these. Oversimplify. Yeah, broaden the language on some of them.
And not only broaden it, but have to be very precise and tell.
Empower our words, like you were pointing out earlier.
So this, yeah.
They're not demands, they're declarations.
See, thank you.
Much happened that this will happen, that we will not rest.
That's why we direct you, is why I chose those words for our declarations of
Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
That's for
Again, it's a shotgun approach, what they did. This is much too specific
Sir,
for
you're
this thing.
speaking over a woman who's talking.
I
It's not okay.
apologize. That is not
It's not okay. Please, Bill, you have the floor.
No, what I was asking is, even though
the word might be specific and might be what I'm asking is it too early to even ask those questions? No, because I think it's not too early. I'm open-minded enough to think, well, this thing I agree with, but I see that other people do not, So I think it's not too early for me to do.
I think right now we should be discussing maybe the concepts, and then we could go back over the language as a step 2. But I think step 1, just figure out that everyone's on the same page. Step 2, there's a lot of language. That's been what this discussion has been so far. Is nobody likes the word, right? But I think that's the next phase.
Yeah, yeah. Again, you have to start somewhere, and this is a very extensive list. I think probably in part aimed at making everybody feel like their concerns are represented on this list, even though that's probably true.
Has there been a national list finalized, or has there been a New York list finalized?
I don't think anything's
You think
It's in
there's
process.
a lot of these that I've scanned over, and what I see is something that is a little bit ahead of its time, because the basics aren't filled out yet. This needs to be a document further along in the process.
I think in terms of, this is what we're going to be doing, basically, it's a collaborative. I know. I agree. I do.
See what this group is talking about.
Right now, I am.
Right now.
Later in the movement, I think that might be a reasonable thing to look at if we get to some kind of national consensus, But right now, this is what the media is looking for: is to, we don't fit their typical model, and so they don't know what to do with us. All they can do is lie. All right, and so. If we come up with a bunch of demands now, which are not going to be agreed upon across the board, they're going to say, A, the movement is fractured, and B, deal with them just on their demands.
It's a knee-jerk reaction to them, really.
I don't think we need to let them set the agenda. Let's let us set our own agenda and our own timing.
Do you all feel the same way, or how do you feel about it?
No, I think this is the first step. Personally, I would like to see this whole movement. I think it's gradually get more and more specific, and I think that coming up with each list of working down is the way, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's fine to be thinking about all these things that have been put forward by this board. I think it's fine to be chew on how broad a list we can come up with if we wanted to. Okay. And I don't know how much of this we can really understand and agree on. There's probably a bunch of them on here we can all pretty much agree on right now, but I don't see that we're ever going to narrow it down and say this is just our demand. There's so many other things that are involved, that have to be taken into account.
My point is the Constitution took a long time to write. It took a lot longer than a week.
11 years.
And I think this is premature on mine. Although I agree with the logic on the list.
Alliances and our democratic process, and we're not ready to all of a sudden top all these specific demands because we're still building the whole organization and finding a common.
Working group, like it's still working on these ideas. I know that, but rather than having a consensus,
No, they
working on it and maybe keep.
It's also going to have to be consensus.
There's policy working groups as well. Yeah.
So that you represent our group and tell them that...
No, I don't want to.
Oh, yeah. You got to.
I don't want to.
I know you don't, but just tell them that we have to...
Are you into that? Yes.
You don't need it, but tell them we need it. Yeah, no, he knows. We're going to have more
Let's call it 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, you want me to... I'll read the next one.
I'm over here to get out of I'm hopping from group to group, trying to see what they're talking about and stuff for the live stream. All right, let's go check out the rock people. Let's see what they're talking about over here. I can get in closer so I can hear what they're saying.
I tell you what, I would rather have
I'm
an
just going
elected
from group to
official
group to see
that we can kick out of there in charge of it than the Federal Reserve and the current system that we have where it's a few extremely wealthy, extremely powerful people that are manipulating our currency and that are manipulating our economy.
I think we're going to get to talk about that with more.
Okay, I want to say that what I saw there was slightly less than the general consensus, but definitely a need for further discussion. A modified consensus? That would be...
we don't need to invoke that right. We don't need to invoke that over this. We don't need to invoke that over this.
Let me go back and ask on issue number 7. Did we get a vibe on issue 7, the abolishment of the Federal Reserve? Okay, now, so we've got a moderate, we've got one down, and the rest of us were in agreement. Did we have any block?
You're just going Federal Reserve should be abolished, leaving the rest of Congress out.
Well, I mean, somebody has to be responsible for printing money. If it's not the Federal Reserve, who is it? Who would you propose?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Okay.
I don't want my Congress to do that.
Okay, so I think we did have a consensus that the Federal Reserve should be abolished.
Right.
I think that they're... Well,
Now this group is going one by one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to need a whole day.
Further clarification, and the majority of the people agree that the first sentence at least is true.
I like the conversation, the dialogue is awesome.
A lot of enthusiasm for the first thing.
Okay,
Well, we've got
moving
one
on.
so far, yes.
Moving on to solution number 8. America must extend her constitutional right to her territories and protectorates.
As they stand.
Everybody understand that? Okay. So, for instance, somebody from the Marshall Islands can come to America indefinitely because they are part of American territory. However, they do not have any constitutional rights. They can go to work, and a factory can hire them for $2.30 an hour. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So we have a consensus.
So we got a consensus there.
All right, that was easy.
Number 9. America shall provide free education for all who wish to pursue it.
I like the idea.
I like the idea.
How are we going to pay that?
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a tough one. I mean, unless we turn into a completely socialist.
Nuclear carrier. Go ahead.
Or just
No, I'm
one
just smart, yeah.
One less. That would do it.
So what do we want to say about that issue, about that solution?
We like the idea.
We like the idea, but there was a need for further discussion?
Yeah, the how is the hard part.
Everyone that we accept.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I think obviously, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we like the idea.
Yeah.
Number 10.
All right.
Okay, let's move. America shall adopt a one-payer health care system and provide free health care.
Yeah.
Yikes, and we see how well they run things.
Any block?
I'm not blocking, no, I'm not blocking.
Okay.
Again, for the discussion
Medicare is
needed.
one of the most valuable programs ever.
Well.
And Medicare to everyone. Number 11, increase the minimum wage to living wage.
Yes.
Define the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a government-defined living wage, and there's a government-defined minimum wage.
And this living wage
Yeah.
is different in different places?
Yes.
It's different in every county. If there is some flexibility.
Okay, let's go back to this group. We got new people joining.
much to digest. I think that we should offer some sort of public
Where's Daddy at?
I don't know. That might get clarification. Some things are not going to need clarification.
I don't know. My battery's about dead on my phone.
Some in place or somebody who knows. And if you have any questions to ask them. I like
No, you do.
I don't know. I don't personally have a particular solution, but it seems like a pretty good one.
We had a breakout meeting today with the outreach group. We broke into groups that were actually one of our groups is tasked with creating policy research and facts and knowledge to disseminate to the group within first, so that the knowledge is fed within our group first. Then it can be used as an outreach.
Yeah, we need that. I think it's really good.
But I also would not want to discourage grassroots upstarts putting a pole in the ground and saying, let's circle up and discuss this topic, so that the wisdom of the people is heard, that it's a popular education model as opposed to the experts teaching us. I think that we have wisdom within our group that is astounding if we can facilitate the mechanisms to elicit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because not everybody is attending every single general assembly. You can't, and the weather's been awful overnight. That one day where it was raining and nobody could hear anything, people sang and it kind of trailed off. I don't know. I personally have already circled a couple things. Like, I don't know about 22 and 23.
What are they?
Institute of Simplified Graduated Progressive Income Tax Code. I understand that one. But then I don't know what a progressive HEPA means tax would be.
Yeah, that speaks to money to people more than some of us who don't occupy those realms.
Yeah.
Which are many of us. I mean, I'd be all for abolishing war taxes myself. So that kind of language, I'm like going,
Well, you just bring up the subject of economy, and that's a complex issue unto itself. And we're not ready to have a consensus on economic issues.
No.
Even though we recognize corporate greed and such things like that. We go through our own education. And I think we need to have some general...
I don't know how much longer my battery is going to last. I apologize if this is cut short. My other phone is not with me. He's live streaming for the
a little recon.
If you can hear
Veterans
the clap
Voice.
right.
All right, thank you so much for talking. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one person from each group speak about what that group spoke about, and we'll go through each group, and we'll start there. So we'll take Zach for this. One person for each group talk about what that group talked about.
Take time riding up on her invisible.
Let's come together.
First speaker from the first group that showed interest in speaking.
So our group really felt unified and solid in feeling that these demands are outside of, a couple things. One, we need to keep the home fires burning, take care of ourselves here, be organized, take care of our own issues before we start jumping out of our baby carriage into the big kids' playground. Two, these demands are being made to a government that is asking for this. We're feeling media pressure. I'd like to, we're kind of giving the finger to that. We don't take pressure from anyone. We're going to do it on our terms, in our way. They're just looking for fodder to tear us down. They're looking for information to take advantage of us. We don't owe them anything. Three, we like the list. We like what it says. We'd like to propose that it's given to the Education and Information Working Group so it can be used as a platform for issues that people need to be educated on, for issues and things that we need to educate ourselves on, to have information to share. Because they're issues. They're real issues, and we're not trying to they're not important. So that's a productive measure. Did I leave anything out of our talking? That was good. Education. We're not playing that game, and we need to give ourselves the room to figure out our own process. The second we start working on their terms is the second we don't give ourselves room to figure out our own process and have a creative response from home, from us. So that was our
Okay. And you're from a group, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our group's approach was to go through the list and read each one. We didn't quite get through the whole thing, but we wanted to get to a consensus, or at least approach each item on the list and discuss it amongst the group. I think on the whole, our group felt that making demands in and of itself is a productive start, and as the movement moves on, it'll become more and more, the list of demands will become more and more specific and more focused, and then the productiveness will happen. But I feel, and several members of my group felt, that making a list at the beginning is a good start towards that more focused end. We went through each individual one. I don't think that you all, or we have time to hear our view on each one, so I don't really know how to discuss it with you, but some specific ones that we talked about, we felt that there were a couple items that kind of hit the same point several times, which is that we felt that our tax money is being wasted on wars, and an easier way to encompass a lot of the problems is to divert the funding from the wars and put it into education. And I think that was really one of the more important points that we hit. I mean, that pretty much sums up what we got at.
Alright, the group I was with, we got to talking about this issue of demands, which has been put to us, wanting a list of demands. We got to recognizing in our group that as we, the people, are directing our government, we don't want to use the word demands. We recognize this is a declaration, and we are in a process, a constitutional process, recognizing our authority and its legitimacy as we, the people. Therefore, the first thing that we need to recognize that we are not doing a list of demands, we are doing a declaration of we, the people.
Yeah.
After having that discussion, we wanted that to be recognized through the General Assembly that we should consider that as a consensus. We, the people, make a declaration. Following up with that with some discussion, we recognize there's a lot of topics that need thorough education on for us to have responsible, legitimate consensus. Thereby, in this process, as we take some of these topics in our declaration, that we go through an education through small groups. When we take a series of these, process them in groups, come back and have a discussion of knowledge to form consensus on those choice declarations of intent. That is as far as we felt we could accomplish at the staging here today. So at the next time we have a General Assembly, our consensus was we select a few that we could work with in simplicity to establish our process of knowledge and education so our consensus is fully empowered by the people. Thank you.
Our group liked the list, but we also felt that it should have fewer demands.
Our group liked the list, but we felt that it would come across more if it had fewer demands, because this amount of information was hard to focus on, and we thought it should be consolidated. We like a generalized idea that the main idea is to take money out of government, put it back into the hands of the people, and to do that we want to focus on specific legislation, such as some of them are in here, like the Glass-Steagall Act. We want that reinstated, and we also want Citizens United abolished. We want NAFTA abolished, and we want the current people that are responsible for the banking failure to be prosecuted. That's our main condensation of everything that we got from going over the list.
Our group also started out with a discussion of whether we should have demands at this point in time. The consensus of the group was that we should have solutions and that we should have a problem statement that we're proposing solutions for, as opposed to making demands. The wording was preferred that way. We started to go through each of the solutions one by one to discuss them. We only got almost halfway through, but I would say, in general, a number of the ones that we discussed were strongly supported, and almost all of them, the consensus was that there would need to be further discussion and clarification about what needed to be there. In some cases, it was a minor word change. In item number 2, ensure full voting access for every citizen of appropriate age. So there were a few minor things like that. I think the bottom line I heard was we need to spend more time doing exactly what we're doing, which is discussing and refining these, and that at this point in time, in order for us to increase our numbers, to increase the participation of the people that need to be out here working with this, we need to have a much clearer definition of what our objectives are, of what our proposed solutions are. And so the need for a set of publicly proposed solutions, the group felt very strongly that this was the right time to be starting this process. Did I miss anything, guys? Thank you.
One thing that I heard was that we decided that, this isn't the redress of grievances is not the only reason we're here, that we're also here to inform and help people figure out ways of doing things better.
A need for more education.
All right, so that's great feedback that I think we've been able to give Matthew, and I just want to give Matthew a chance to respond to all of the feedback that you all have given.
Okay, so we have a lot of feedback, and with the majority of the feedback, it seems like we're not ready for this. So I would propose that we hold off on this, keep the working group as it is, and establish some sub-working groups for the purpose of education on certain issues. Like, people don't know what the acts that we want to reinstate are, and things like that. So, there is a working group online. The updated version, as of today, will be online by this afternoon. It's on there with like 5 of them missing right now. And I think that was listed on the 18th. So that is the top commented thing on the list of demands and vision.
What's the website?
OccupyAsheville.org. Group, demands and vision. There are meetings for this group, but right now we're doing everything online. So I would say I'm not heading up the group at all. I just sort of formed it. But maybe the next meeting should be Monday after General Assembly. Monday, 9 o'clock at the Wall Street Cafe and Emporium. Anybody wants to talk more? I will be there Monday, 9 o'clock at the Wall Street Cafe and Emporium. People are welcome to join me.
Is that AM or PM?
PM.
After
Thank you.
GA.
After GA. So,
All right, that was a very awesome process, I think. Let's give ourselves a hand.
Just a point of information about what you're saying, just because not everybody knows. But we had a meeting of the outreach group earlier today, We had a meeting with the outreach group today, which Victor is putting together. And one of the action items that we took was to create a subgroup of that responsible for education, and research and policy issues. So we've just begun the process of trying to create a packet of information so that we can educate folks within the group ourselves, which can eventually be disseminated outside of the group as well.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, now we can give ourselves a round of applause. Well done. So now we'll be moving on to the next part of the General Assembly, which is working group report back. So if you're in a working group, please come up and come on stack and you can give a report to the whole group about who you are, what you're doing.
Hello, my name is Mike.
Louder.
My name is Mike. This is a Treasury report. According to number 9 on your Treasury policy, I think we passed out several of those. First thing I'd like to report is the inclusion to the Treasury of John Kevlin, who will be our advisor and our liaison to the other groups. Very important. Guy raised his hand. Now he's swamped. That'd be John. There are issues. I'm not sure if this is the time to address the issues that the Treasury is having. I'd like to report that this document, the policy, is going to go online at WePay. Is that right, John? It is going to be at WePay that John has helped open so that this Treasury of the General Assembly can accept checks. This is in place. We have a post office box that is in the name of Occupy Asheville General Assembly Treasury. Need a bullhorn.
Is there a link between the WePay and the OccupyAsheville.org? Because there's a lot of branches.
Come up here, John. We're working with the media group to improve the Occupy Asheville site. And there is a link from WePay back to Occupy.
But not the other way
for
around.
supplies.
Yeah. Okay.
But there is one, but it's buried under supplies needed.
Treasury would like to report that we seem to be missing a word in all of our General Assemblies. Haven't heard this word in 4 General Assemblies.
Money?
Love.
We feel the love, people.
We have so far received $1,147.50 donations. We have dispersed a total of $837.27. And if I did my math, if the Treasury did its math right, we have a balance on hand in the Treasury of $310.23. Does everyone understand the Treasury policy?
Is this information posted on the OccupyAsheville website? Because I didn't get all that down for the minute. Do you post this report pretty much regularly on the website?
On .org?
The note taker does. Okay, can I talk to you afterwards? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are we?
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, we're just doing the reports right now, and then we'll open it up. If you could table it till the end, that would be great.
Hello, my name's Ann, and I've been working with what I think is called the Direct Action Working Group. And there's a few things I wanted to share with you in hopes that we can do some networking between individuals and the other working groups whose purposes and interests might be overlapping. One is that our little group is starting to do research into credit unions, and we want to come up with an information sheet that can be passed out to anyone who's interested on where you can move your money to, which would work up to the Move Your Money Day. And there's a lady named Helen, and I'd like to connect with her if she's here. Helen? Helen?
Yeah.
Helen. Is that you? Are you working on Move Your Money? Yeah. Okay. I'd like to talk with you. Okay. We also talked about having an ongoing series of teach-ins in a public place at the same time every day of the week with a sign, perhaps like here, that would say, today's teach-in, credit union. People from the street would come in, you know, who were just walking by, and that this would take place, excuse me, before some big gathering like a General Assembly. So you come for more than one reason. We also are talking about activist theater, and I think I've connected with a lady named Jennifer to work on that with artists. We have one lady who is with Playback Theater in our group, and she is interested in doing activist theater, perhaps at some to be designated location, like outside Bank of America. Then we are also talking about other actions, direct actions that possibly could take place within an affinity group setting. If you have this list of demands is very helpful because it will give our group and others an idea of what kind of teach-ins we should be having. And if you or someone you know would like to give a teach-in, we envision about 20 minutes of you sharing your expertise and then doing a Q&A. So if you know of anybody, please come to me and give me your contact information. Thank you.
They're passing the treasury bucket around. It's a little container. It's not really a bucket quite yet, maybe someday. So please put donations in there.
My name's Sonny with the Nonviolent Training and Direct Action Working Group.
Hi, Sonny.
Hi, Milton. We are offering training to everyone who can take part. We've had several trainings so far. We have more on the way. The next training will be tomorrow at noon to 2 at the base camp at Lexington at the I-240 bridge. We encourage at least one, preferably more, but at least one member of each affinity group to try to go through nonviolent direct action training, and then you can go back and train other people in your group who haven't gotten the training yet. It's not rocket science. It's a matter of changing your thinking and being able to use effective tactics in a nonviolent manner so that we wind up putting a good face on all this and have more of a chance of winning what we're trying to win. So we're working on helping people understand what affinity groups are and also getting a spokes council together of representatives from each affinity group who can clue each other in on what's happening where. It's not something that necessarily has to be taken to the General Assembly all the time, but rather just so that people are clear about what's happening where and that people from different groups want to participate with the others. So please, if you can tomorrow, come on down to the training, and we'd love to see you.
Time again?
Noon to 2 tomorrow at the base camp in Lexington.
Any more working group report back?
Hi, I'm Teddy. I'm with the food group. I'm also an alcoholic in this game. Monday, Rosetta is going to let us use her mobile kitchen, which has a 3-foot grill, a deep fryer, and a full one burner. It's all propane powered except the refrigerator, which is electric.
So we're going to need more pots and pans. If you guys can help us out with bigger, like 2 and bigger pots and pans. And we also need donations so we can keep the food coming. We're trying to deep fry everything.
I thought we couldn't have deep fryers down there.
I don't think we can. I think
Okay, good.
So yeah, it's all the floors are.
Kayvon's not here today, so I'm going to represent the spirituality group, but I'm here to support the individuals in the entire movement. And we have the spirituality group that meets, the next meeting will be 6 o'clock right here by the tree on Wednesday evening.
There's going to be a flash meditation at 5 just before that of spirituality.
Flash Med at 5 at
Flash
Advanced
meditation
Monument.
at 5 tomorrow. Advanced.
What all does the group offer?
Well, I'm the one who teaches meditation in the group. I also teach one-on-one astrophysics. And preachers don't like me. I can teach you about Scripture in a way that they never will.
Thank you.
So, 5 o'clock Advanced Monument, Wednesday, 6 o'clock right here.
5 advance, 6 free. Sorry.
Wednesday, not today.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. 5 advance.